Hey everyone, welcome back to the Truth and Fertility podcast. So today I have a really important episode for you guys. This episode is going to be all about what's called NaProTechnology. That's going to be a new word for most of you. And so I really just wanted to educate you guys today about what NaProTechnology is, why it is so important for women's health, and just to kind of just give you an idea of what it is, especially because next week I will be interviewing a really dear friend of mine, and she is a nurse actually at the clinic, the OBGYN clinic that I work at. And so she is going to be going all just kind of really getting into the weeds about what practicing medicine with NaProTechnology looks like. And so I wanted to give you kind of this idea really of what NaProTechnology is before we get into that interview, because having this background knowledge is going to be really helpful for that interview. Welcome to the Truth and Fertility podcast. My name is Haley and I am your host. I work at an OBGYN clinic where I teach women and couples how to chart their cycles so they can either achieve or avoid pregnancy and also to manage their fertility. I have a huge passion to teach women and couples about the beauty of their fertility and how the pill is never the answer to women's health. There's a lot of good and not so good information out there about fertility. And so my goal with this podcast is to help you sort out the truth from the weeds. I want to teach you how to chart your cycle and to reach your family planning goals while also even possibly locating hormonal imbalances and to receive proper treatment. I want to help you get in the best hands that you can with the best doctors that you can to reach optimal reproductive health. So if you're ready to get on this journey with me to learn more about your reproductive system, how it was created, and how it should be working, and the best medicine in order to make it work if it is not, you are in the right place. I pray that this blesses you, so let's get to it. Just to kind of even go over, okay, what does this term NaProTechnology, like what even is that? Okay, so NaProTechnology stands for Natural Procreative Technology, okay? And it is a fairly new form of medicine. It was founded by a doctor named Dr. Thomas Hilgers, and he was in med school, I believe it was in the 70s. And so as he was looking just into OBGYN work and looking to really, just hone his craft as an OBGYN, he noticed that a lot of the tools that were given to doctors, especially doctors to be in medical school, they're just given the pill, right? It's really one of the only tools that an OBGYN is given in order to quote unquote heal women. And if this isn't the first episode that you've listened to of mine, you'll know already that the pill does not heal anything. It can help with symptoms, but it never gets to the root cause of what is causing whatever symptoms are unwanted symptoms that this woman is having. So he really wanted to look at, okay, what is something else? What is something that can really get to the root cause of what is causing painful periods? What is causing infertility? What is causing irregular cycles? Whatever it is, right? And so in his research, he founded what's called NaProTechnology. So NaProTechnology, again, natural procreative technology, is a form of women's health science that really tries to get to the root of what is going on with the woman. Why is she having infertility? Why is she having these whatever unwanted symptom that it is? Now, just to kind of give you an idea of what this practice of medicine looks like what would happen if you go to an OBGYN clinic where the doctors actually practice NaProTechnology, okay? And many of you know that I do work for an OBGYN clinic teaching women and couples how to chart their cycles, right? And so I work at a NaProTechnology clinic, because the reason that they would even hire someone like me is because of NaProTechnology. So let's say, just to give you an example, if a woman comes in to the office, has an appointment with the doctor or PA there, and says that she is having, let's just go infertility, right? She is married. She and her husband have been trying to conceive for a year and has not been successful. Okay. Probably what is going to happen is the first thing is that doctor or PA is going to say, okay, let's get some blood work done and let's do some ultrasound. And also, let's get you learning how to chart your cycle. So they would refer that couple to someone like me who can teach them how to chart their cycle, because charting your cycle, charting the signs that your body is giving you, can show a whole lot about your hormones and about, are they working as they should? Are they balanced as they should be? Or is there an imbalance? Is there deficiency? What is going on? So much of that can be seen on a chart alone. And actually, that doctor that I mentioned earlier, Dr. Thomas Hilgers, who founded NaProTechnology, he also founded the Creighton model system. It's a method of natural family planning, but it can also be used in a medical purpose, right? Because a couple can chart to figure out when a woman is fertile in order to time pregnancy or to avoid pregnancy. But because by charting a cycle, it shows so much about your hormones, it can also be used in a medical setting. So this doctor that founded NaProTechnology also founded the Creighton method of natural family planning, which is the method or one of the methods, I should say, that I teach. So the couple may come into my office, and over the course of working with me for a few months, we'll figure out she'll learn how to chart her cycle, and then we can actually start to pinpoint possible hormonal imbalances that are being shown on her chart. Sometimes it is irregular bleeding. Maybe her period is just way too long. Anything that's 8 or more days of bleeding is too long of a period. Maybe she's having spotting all over the place, or maybe she's having a lot of brown bleeding. Maybe she's having cervical mucus that's kind of coming and going, and there's not like the true pattern that we want to see. By the way, I just did a whole podcast on cervical mucus. Super, super important stuff. So if you want to go learn more about that as well, you can go check out that episode. But based on a woman's chart, we can see a whole lot of stuff. So I teach the couple how to chart. Then that couple will go back to the doctor and they'll present their chart to the doctor. Then that doctor, along with doing blood work and ultrasound, they can properly diagnose what is going on. Infertility is always going to be a symptom of some underlying issue, okay? It's never a diagnosis in and of itself. So we want to know, just in this particular example, we want to know, okay, what is causing the struggle to get pregnant? So a doctor is going to be able to take that chart, take whatever blood work results occur from that, and take the ultrasound results and go from there to properly diagnose and treat the issue. And so in this example of infertility, actually women and couples who are experiencing infertility when it's an issue on the woman's side, getting help with NaProTechnology, their research has shown that charting with the Creighton method and working with a NaProTechnology certified doctor gives them up to an 80% chance of being able to conceive naturally, okay? And that is significant. NaProTechnology is a very successful form of trying to properly diagnose and treat whatever is going on with the woman's body. Okay, so now sometimes that treatment is medicine. Sometimes that treatment actually can be just diet. Okay, that was actually my case. And I have my whole story, also one of the episodes that actually the first episode that I've done on my podcast is my story and about how my diet actually really did help with my reproductive disorders. And so I'll put that link in the show notes there as well. But sometimes it's diet, sometimes it's medicine, and sometimes it actually is surgery. And so with NaProTechnology, there are what's called medical consultants, and these are people that are medically trained either as a PA or as an MD or a DO or any sort of doctor. But then you can go one step even farther and find a NaProTechnology surgeon, okay? And these surgeons are specially trained to be able to fix whatever the underlying issue is. So here's another example of that, okay? Let's talk about endometriosis. So many times, well, first of all, let me back up for a second. Endometriosis, on average, takes a woman 10 years to get diagnosed with, okay? With NaProTechnology, that is significantly shorter. And the reason is because when a woman is presenting with symptoms that are common with endometriosis, some of those might be really painful periods. Sometimes a woman will present with very limited to no cervical mucus throughout her cycle. There's other symptoms as well, or a woman with endometriosis may not even have those symptoms. But nevertheless, so if a woman is presenting with any of those symptoms, she's actually going to be truly diagnosed and not just given the pill. A lot of times in our culture right now, in medical and just in medicine, as I said earlier, the pill is really the only tool that is given to a lot of doctors in medical school to treat women. And we know that it's not treating anything. We just know that it's alleviating the symptoms sometimes, but it's not getting to the root cause. Now, other women know they have endometriosis already, but they are on the pill because they're told that it's going to help slow the endometriosis, or like slow the growth of the endometriosis, or even stop it. Now, something to know about endometriosis, though, is that it very rarely regresses, okay? It can either be stopped or it progresses in growth, but it very rarely regresses, meaning unless you get all of that endometriosis out, it is going to stay there. And also, I'm realizing I'm talking about endometriosis, but I didn't even really tell you what that is, in case you are wondering what that is. So basically, endometriosis is when the uterine lining, so inside of your uterus, you have a uterine lining. That's a bunch of blood cells, and that's thickened every cycle. And then if a woman is not pregnant, she'll get her period, and her period, the bleeding from her period, is that uterine lining. Now, the uterine lining should be growing on the inside of the uterus, but with endometriosis, what's happening is that those blood cells are actually growing on the outside of the uterus. So sometimes it's on top of the uterus, sometimes it's on top of the ovaries, or just in places that it should not be. And so especially the reason why it can cause a lot of pain is because when a woman is on her period is being prompted by hormones dropping. And so when she has her period, those hormones are dropping and it's causing that the inside uterine lining to shed. Well, if she has those blood cells on other parts, on either the outside of her uterus or wherever it is, if it's not inside of her uterus, that bleeding is still shedding, but it has nowhere to go. So that can cause a lot of pain. And that's a very common symptom that women experience when they have endometriosis. So anyways, I say all of this just as an example to say that with endometriosis, it also is a myth that it can be seen on an ultrasound. Endometriosis, to be properly diagnosed, has to be actually surgically diagnosed and treated. So that would actually involve a diagnostic surgery to see, is there even endometriosis there? If so, what stage, how much, that sort of thing. And then from there, hopefully in that same surgery, that surgeon can actually remove the endometriosis that's there if she sees any. Now, sometimes there's just too much endometriosis and it would involve a second surgery after the diagnostic surgery to then actually remove the endometriosis. But a lot of times women are just put on the pill to quote unquote stop the spreading of the endometriosis or to just slow its growth, which can help with symptoms, but it's not taking away the endometriosis. That endometriosis is still there. And so, yes, if a woman would want to have a child one day, that endometriosis is a very common cause of infertility. But even if it's a single woman or a woman who's not interested in it just not in a time of her life where she is having children, even just for the sake of her own health, we want to get that endometriosis removed. And so NaProTechnology surgeons are specially trained in doing just that. Okay. And that's just one example of many different types of surgeries that they are particularly trained to do in order to actually treat the root cause of what is giving women these unwanted symptoms, whether it be, again, painful periods, irregular cycles, infertility, and so on. So, to give you some resources if you wanted to learn more. So, the first thing I would do is just Google NaProTechnology, and you'll find their website. And that can give you that has a lot of different articles and just different things that you can just have more just get more information about it. Now, I also recommend going to a website called FertilityCare.org. That's, again, FertilityCare.org. And what you can do with this website is really neat. You can just put in your zip code and it'll pop up all of the what's called fertility care centers that are near and around you. It's either going to show people who can teach you how to chart with the Creighton method, which I would be one of those. And it will also show you different doctors, PAs, or clinics near you that practice NaProTechnology. So that is a really, really good website to get started if you're hearing this and either you just want to learn more about NaProTechnology or you're hearing this and you're thinking, oh, I need to see a doctor like right away. So that would be a good place to start. Another place to go to is a website called SP Surgeons. So again, that's spsurgeons.org. And this is a list. On this website, there is a list of all of these NaProTechnology surgically trained doctors that can treat things like endometriosis, PCOS, things like that. And so with surgery, these doctors are phenomenal and they are very well trained and they know what they're doing, and I would trust them with my life. So you're also welcome to look on that website as well. And all of them do work at clinics that practice that NaProTechnology, since of course they are NaProTechnology trained. So that's another good resource to look into. Another resource to look at is called the St. Paul VI Institute. So the St. Paul VI, and 6 is a Roman numeral, so it's VI. So St. Paul VI Institute is the research arm of NaProTechnology. So this is where Dr. Thomas Hilgers still does research to this day to continue just the betterment of NaProTechnology and continue its work and research in helping women. And there are other doctors that work there as well. They are located in Omaha, Nebraska. And they have a lot of good information on their website as well. That's another good place. And then the last resource that I have for you is actually a book, and it's called The NaProTechnology Revolution. This is such a good book, okay? This book is basically a medical textbook for the layperson. So I am not medically trained. I did not go to medical school, and it's a very, I don't want to say easy read. It's not necessarily an easy read, but it's a very tactical and understandable read. Okay. It talks a lot about what your hormones should look like, different reproductive disorders, what is NaProTechnology and the work and the research that it has been doing for the last 50 years. It is such a good book. So I will also put all of these resources, I'll put links in the show notes down below, so that you can easily go check them out and learn more about this. But I hope this episode really helped in just kind of laying the foundation, laying the basics of what NaProTechnology is. And especially because remember, next week I will be interviewing my good friend, Nurse Megan, to tell us more about just the practicalities of what it looks like what type of ultrasound does a woman get when she is presenting with different symptoms? What type of blood work does she get, right? We're going to learn a whole lot more about that next week. So definitely tune in to that next episode as well. That's going to be a huge, huge resource for you and just learning more about NaProTechnology. But this is, you guys, this is my jam. NaProTechnology is what gave me my children. I have my 3 children because of this medical system. Okay. It is it's just amazing in what it can do to actually help heal the root cause of whatever is giving any woman horrible symptoms, unwanted symptoms, and actually treating it from the ground up for the sake of her own health and for the sake of her fertility. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week, and I will talk to you again next week.